Hey guys, it's Dave Gass. I'll tell a story here that is kind of incredible. This is our home. I didn't want to show the front, it's the back. It's on 3 acres surrounded by 300 acres in a beautiful area. I'm beat. Oh my God. I cleaned all the carpets in the house today. Took my wife's car to the car wash, vacuumed. I haven't stopped, but I'm busted out. But anyways, this house, every day I come here, I don't care if I stand in the driveway, drive down the driveway. I cannot believe we live here. I grew up in a pretty nice neighborhood for 16 years because my father was friends with the landlord. We couldn't afford to live there, believe me. And I went days without eating, drank pickle juice for supper, had bouillon cubes for supper, and welfare. Back when you stood outside a building and got a block of cheese, a bag of Kicks, some powdered milk. That's how I grew up. My father was a musician and had substance abuse problems. Now, this house here, it's a little over 2,600 square feet, but the story here is how I built this house and saved probably over $120,000. But I don't think a builder would ever do what happened again. So this is our third house. We got married right at the end of being 24 years old. A year and like a month, we bought our first house. We built a brand new house in the city. I hated the neighborhood. Sold it, made money after a year and a half. Built a new house in a much better neighborhood out in the country. Doubled our money on that house after 11 years. This one here, I designed it, I bought the land, and I oversaw the construction. Now, 22 years ago, well, it was actually 23 years ago probably, builders were so busy, the economy was doing good at the time, if I remember right, and we owned the land. It's kind of another story. Our last house, there was some crooked zoning, and they were going to build a new subdivision behind our other house, and I did my research, found out the zoning was illegal. The guy owned this land, and let's just say I basically got it for half price, plus with some engineering payment help. That's who I used to be. Like I said in my video yesterday, I used to be very aggressive, I didn't even sleep. I was a savage because I grew up so poor. Worked 60 hours a week, drove 100 miles a day. Anyways, I designed this house and I hired a builder who builds on your land. Now these guys, I had been through it 2 other times already. They never meet their deadline and they screw you up. So, closed on this land on a Thursday. Just by accident, my brother passed away a couple of months earlier from an opiate overdose. And it was so weird. On that Sunday, somebody with my brother's first name knocked on our door and said, "Would you like to sell your house?" Our last house. I was stunned because I was going to sit on this land. And we used to drive by this lot all the time, not knowing anything about it. We loved it. We wanted it before I even knew it was for sale or who the guy was, because it wasn't really for sale. We used to just drive down here. It was beautiful. So now, this kid had the same name as my brother. and he said, would you like to sell your house? And I was like, ooh. I said, well, I'd like to build a dream house, but you're going to have to wait, 6 or 8 months. He said, no problem. We live with our in-laws, so I'll get to save more money. I'll be here tomorrow with $30,000, and you hold the house for me. Just keep me informed. Wow. So I hire this builder. I design this house, and it goes, well, I knew he said it will be done in 6 months. He builds on your land. I knew he wasn't going to be done in 6 months. You couldn't get any subcontractors. It was so busy at that time. So I said, hey, make a deal with me. This is the part nobody will ever do. I said, put 6 months interest on the price of the house, buy the land off me, and sell it back as a whole. So then anything after 6 months, you're going to pay the interest. Oh, yeah, no problem, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it took 10 months. So that's where I won. He had to pay 4 months interest on this land, whereas I would have had to. Now, if you see the way, it's a hip roof colonial with the big window in the front over the door. It's got all divided lights, the glass, threes. It's all threes. Anderson windows. And like I said, we doubled our money on our last house. So I said, you know what? This will probably be our last house. So I spent the money on the construction as far as quality. 2x6, 2x8, a professionally structured roof. You see the size of the deck, and high-end shingles, the whole bit. Tile, hardwoods, everything. And believe me, I'm not bragging. Like I said, I was as poor as can be. I grew up, there was months, no electricity, no hot water, no heat, no food. So I know what it's like to be poor. And that wasn't 1 year. It was my childhood into my teens. So now, this guy builds the house, and I knew in my head, all right, I set him up for the 6-month interest thing on the land. He failed at that. Then the garage. See what I did? Most houses like this, the family room is up there on the second floor. So what I did was put the garage even to the basement, so the family room would be on the first floor. It's 22 by 22 with the fireplace and all that. I got a pellet fireplace. And I did open construction. I said to him, I want to walk in the house and see the woods no matter which direction I look in. So we had triple laminated beams and steel beams and all that stuff put in. Over the years, I learned. So now, he messed up on the garage. The floor is a foot higher than it should be. And therefore, it caused some problem with the HVAC for the AC and the heat. So the ductwork is in the ceiling of the garage. So picture, it's fine, but the floor is a foot higher, and then you got this HVAC crap. So all along, what he does is he gives you the price for the house, and then as you go, you have to pay extra every time. We upgraded electricity, $7,000. We upgraded the floors, $5,000, whatever, like that. And I would pay him the check every week, every week, every week. Now, towards the end, I owed him probably $10,000 for that kind of other things that we upgraded. Added windows, added sliders, the whole bit. And I said, I'll give it to you at the closing, which I knew I wouldn't, because he screwed us up. Our other house had no mortgage. Now we're paying $2,000 a month to live in our own house at the other house because I let them close because of interest rates and blah, blah, blah. It was wild. There's more to that story, but I won't even tell it. So at the closing, I said, here's the deal. He thought I was going to pay him for the interest on the land that he went over all those months. And it was thousands. So he said, oh, between the interest on the land and the upgrades on the sliders and all that, you owe me, it was somewhere around $20,000. I said, well, here's the deal. The garage, how much was it? He said $20,000. I said, so we're even. He goes, what do you mean? And his brother was there who oversaw the building of this house eventually after the original foreman was fired. Like, there was 6-8 weeks nobody came to work on the house. So he said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, the floor in the garage is a foot high and the HVAC is in the ceiling. That's not what I paid for. I'm not paying you a penny. The garage was $20,000. I owe you $20,000. We're even, unless you want to fix the garage. I said, I would rather you fix the garage. How much would that be? He said, oh, you're talking thousands and thousands. I'm not doing that. I'm too busy. He asked his brother and he asked his wife. Is he right? Is he wrong? His own wife said he was right. That I was right. I'm sorry. That I was right. And his brother said I was right. So, between getting the land for pretty much half price and beating him out of the interest and the $20,000 and whatnot, the house was paid off pretty quickly. And I still can't believe we live here, but we love it so much. I hope this story was interesting to people. There's so much more to it. It was so stressful. Like I said, my brother had just died, which this was great because it kept me busy, but it was frustrating. It got to the point where my wife wouldn't even come here, even though she drove by the street every day. Hope you enjoyed the story. Dave Gass out. Have a great long weekend. It won't.